What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, all I can say is it feels good to be back. As you mostly know, I was on vacation, taking a break from just, life. But you know who doesn't take breaks? Oda, when creating this masterful story. Except for, the week-long breaks that he takes in between like every 2 to 3 to 4 chapters. Or more recently, the really long month-long breaks that he's been taking for his health. Yeah, I can't lie, this was a bad analogy, but never mind that, because we're back like we never left with chapter 1120 and 1121 reviewed. But before we get into it, guys, if you rock with me, if you rock with the gang, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love this series. Let's get it going. Also, while I was on break, in order to keep my engagement up, I started a TikTok and I put all of my shorts on there, or at least I'm in the process of putting all my shorts on there. So I'll link it below. Go follow it up, because the more exposure that gets, the more it cycles through, it's pushed out on TikTok, and the more exposure the channel gets. So in 1120, starting with the cover story, we have Denjiro, who apparently is now just the Kibi region daimyo. Apparently he's just out here bagging kids, because he put the kids who are stoning Yamato, put him in a bag and was like, go ahead, go on your journey, I got this. So interesting enough, the chapter actually starts with a flashback. So 26 years ago on Punk Hazard, we have Vegapunk talking with Professor Clover of all people. And Professor Clover is trying to get Vegapunk to study the Void Century with the other Oharan scholars. Y'all remember Clover, right? You have to. The Clover from Robin's backstory? The goat? Side note, y'all remember that little dragon from Punk Hazard? Well, it shows up. This is the really small one that was inside the base that I believe it was Brook and Kinemon who cut it up. So here we have Vegapunk actually telling Clover, yo, you may want to stop researching this thing, dog, because there's a reason that it's hidden. On top of that, don't you see that they're trying to bait all of you into one place to wipe you out? Like, it's so clear that this is the government's plan. Stop. So it's interesting to see that Vegapunk was actually really against, at least initially, studying the Void Century, especially considering that he just became instated as a world government scientist. But then Clover reveals that apparently his family is also part of the D clan. So he says that his name is Clu D Clover, or Clo D Clover. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but something to that extent. And his brother, who obviously also had the D initial, was taken out right in front of him just for having the name. So obviously that does affect Vegapunk. He's shocked, but at the same time, he still says, I can't do anything for you except tell you, implore you to stop. Sends him on his way. So cut to 4 years later, right before, or maybe just a little after, the Buster call on Ohara happened, you have the slime ball Caesar clown excited at what's happening. Because he's a sicko. So the flashback ends with the shot of Vegapunk on Ohara, like the ruins of Ohara, that we also saw towards the start of the Egghead arc when he was on Ohara and met Dragon there. And he's just crying because of what happened to Clover and the Oharan scholars, and it profoundly impacted him. And I think it was at this moment that he decided, okay, this can't be quiet anymore. So back in the current day, his message is still playing, and we actually see a cameo from Zeph and the people at the Baratier, which, side note, can I just say a really big congratulations and round of applause for Craig Fairbrass and the way that he portrayed Zeph in the One Piece live action. That was masterful. I could really feel the grizzled old man, ex-pirate, but still loving father figure type of character. It was great. So back with the Sunny group up in the Labostratum, they're trying to push off. They're like, we're done with this, we gotta go. But Lilith tells them, no, we can't go yet until Nostro is taken care of, because if he messes up any slight little thing, according to her calculations, they're not gonna make it. But at that moment, Atlas appears out of nowhere and decks Lilith into the deck and effectively takes her out, which everyone is confused about. Is like, did Atlas turn traitor? But no, she actually did just a 400 IQ play. She tactically made York think that Lilith was taken out, so that it would only show York and herself left. So she did it to save the Straw Hats, as she makes them promise to take care of Lilith for her before she jets off and starts engaging Nostro herself handling it like a boss. She's able to punch him and like kind of hold him back enough for the Sunny to use a coup de burst and actually jet out of the lava stratum. Oh, and we definitely will be seeing a little bit more of Atlas before the chapter's over. I mean, the title is named after her. So back with Luffy's group, we have Emeth the Iron G actually talking to Luffy, I guess kind of through the voice of all things, obviously, but telling him, Joy Boy, Joy Boy. And Luffy's like, I have no idea who that is. So Emeth is like, okay, you're an idiot. But anyways, go ahead, I'll deal with the Gorosei. However, as it turns to make an epic attack, you know, trying to get its weapons online, about to do a big blast, turns out Pal's weapon systems have been offline for time. So there's almost a bit of a comedic moment there where he's like, all right, I'm ready to do this. Well, this is bad, isn't it? And this is kind of spawning a new Usopp-based theory that I have, which will come out soon, so y'all make sure to look out for that. So Jupiter goes and just crushes like half of the Iron Giant in his jaws, takes out like at least like this much of him, just gone. Meanwhile, Saturn jumps off of Jupiter's head and then lands on the giant ship, talking about some Kuma Bani, I'm not gonna let you escape. And I'm just like, bruh, you don't think you've done enough to Kuma and Bani? Like, really? You're still after them? So then Sanji looks up and he actually sees the Sunny jetting off, and the people on board are like, okay, cool, we see the giant ship, but it doesn't look like we're gonna make it, until Atlas comes in clutch in the last minute, promptly self-destructing, creating a huge explosion, the force of which is able to knock the Sunny back on course so that they'll be able to make it. And she even gets this really cool last line where Nesjiro's like, so I see that you're sacrificing yourself, huh? And she's like, nope, on the contrary, I'm actually just giving my friends a hand. A real cute end for her. And so it seems, as I predicted in my Vegapunk theory that you can watch here after this video is done, I was right about Oda wanting to just take out each of the Vegapunks one by one, likely in a sacrifice, as we've seen, which only leaves Lilith, interestingly enough. Now the thing here is that because apparently Oda's editor came out and said that there's still a twist of Egghead left, even though it seems like we're leaving, I wouldn't be surprised if that twist had something to do with why Lilith can travel with them. So at the very end of the chapter, we get some stuff wrapped up, but also some stuff set up for the next chapter. Yorick is just like, okay, with Alice gone, it's confirmed I'm the last Vegapunk left standing, while the Gorosei are like, alright, but as long as the Stella's message is gone, we're not satisfied, so we gotta take out this giant. Meanwhile, the Iron G himself is like,
my main attacks may not be working, but I do have the secret weapon that I think it's time to use it. I'm gonna have to use it.
And as the chapter ends, we get Vegapunk's message playing over it, where he's essentially telling people that the crew of Gold D. Roger, not Gold Roger, which is important because a lot of the world didn't know that it was Gold D. Roger. Gold D. Roger and his crew found the key on Laugh-Tale. So then we get 1121, and real quick, let's just talk about the color spread, because I love the giant Nami. To be fair, I'll never not love giant Nami or giant Robin, because who wouldn't? So starting us off, we're back with Luffy's group on the giant ship, and everybody is trying to hold off Saturn and his poisonous appendages, because I guess Saturn realized, he was like, well, I can't have the rest of the Gorosei, besides Jupiter, upstaging me when I'm supposed to be the main arc boss. So you have Luffy readying an attack, but then you also see Bonnie crying as she goes back into her own Gear 5th. So Vegapunk's message keeps playing, and he's essentially telling everybody that, listen, a day of reckoning is coming. Somebody ensured that the weapons that flooded the ancient world are still around today, and in the same vein, a group is hell-bent on the extermination of special rare races. So when the weapons are mentioned, we see Shirahoshi and Vivi. Now Shirahoshi makes sense because obviously she's Poseidon. But with Vivi, does this paneling seem to imply that she's more closely tied to Pluton than we even previously thought? Here it's making me think that maybe Vivi, for some reason, is the key to unlocking Pluton's power in the same way that Shirahoshi is needed to channel Poseidon's power. And then when he's talking about the races, we actually cut around to see a lot of the races that we can assume to be historically important. Kuma being a buccaneer. On Sphinx, Marco is remembering Whitebeard talking about how there used to be certain gods on top of the Red Line. We see King, and he's in prison, but obviously we see him because he's a Lunarian. And then we see Pudding, who's still captured by Blackbeard for being a 3-Eye Tribe member. And maybe with these specific races being picked out, it may have something to do with Joy Boy's crew. I mean, Would it be that crazy to think that Joy Boy had a Lunarian, a Buccaneer, and a 3-Eye Tri-member on his crew? I don't think that's that crazy. So back with Luffy and Bonnie, Bonnie is revving up for an attack while crying, and Saturn is just like, you're just a cheap imitation of what you don't understand. But Luffy is encouraging her like, no, Bonnie, forget about what he's saying, go for it, I'll support you. And you just love seeing Luffy be the big brother in these circumstances. So then of course you have a real emotional monologue from Bonnie where she's just talking about how her father and mother sacrificed themselves for her to be here now. Despite everything they went through, they fought for her to ensure that she, had a life, something that she could be happy about. And Saturn, the singular person who is responsible for all her pain, is right here. Obviously, he has to be destroyed. So you got a really tough combo panel of both of them hocking up their fists, getting ready for this attack. Before they do it and they use the new attack, Joy people cause pain. Okay, it's really called Liberation Nika Punch, but tell me that my name isn't better. And I love it, it's hilarious. It's just Bonnie's one elephant gun, but supported by Luffy's Dawn Gatling. They're blasting holes in Saturn, and just the fury of the situation, everything leading up to it, and because it's Saturn himself, it makes everything feel so cathartic. And as Saturn falls back, we literally see him like being torn into pieces. Like all of his appendages are coming off, and he's falling back into the water. So, I mean, is Saturn defeated here? I don't know if it was something having to do with because it was specifically the two of them and that's why it affected him so badly. And we don't even know how these guys react to water because we don't know if they're devil fruits or real devils or what. But at least I think it's fair to say Saturn's been taken out of commission for a while. So Vegapunk is finalizing his message saying that even though Roger and Whitebeard died, that was just the beginning. So we get a new rendition of the very first chapter, the iconic Roger speech, where Roger's like, my treasure, you can have it. I left everything I own in the world in one place. Now it's up to you to go and find it. I really wish I could like edit a Roger mustache on me right now. That would be amazing. But that is a bit above my pay grade as an editor. But then Oda finally shows us the reactions of the people that we've been looking forward to the most. On Hachinosu, they say that Blackbeard isn't back yet, but he's on his way. On the Red Force, Shanks is wicked drunk. And on Karibari Island, we have Mihawk just looking to the side like, okay. Crocodile, I love Crocodile's expression because Crocodile's just like, damn, I cannot stand these people, dog. And Buggy himself is just bluffing about knowing this lore. We also have some of the Marines talking about, okay, we gotta go out and find this thing then because the pirates are gonna be after it. We need to claim it first. So with this, the final part of Vegapunk's message is set. And he says, whoever finds it may not be the person that Joy Boy was necessarily intending it to be, but essentially the key to everything lies on Laugh Tale. The fate of the world will be decided by the one who finds the One Piece. And we see an amazing spread of who we can assume is, for all intents and purposes, the most important key players and factions for the final war. So we have Akainu there representing the old way of the Marines. Kobe's there to represent the new generation. You have Dragon and Sabo representing the Revolutionary Army. Imu, of course, for the world government. Interestingly, Aokiji is there, which is interesting because does that represent Sword? Garling is there to rep what I can assume is the God's Knights. Then there's a mysterious silhouette of somebody drawing a bladed weapon. And then at the top, the Pirate Emperors. Buggy, Shanks, Blackbeard, and of course, Monkey D. Luffy. I have to say, I absolutely adored this spread and this chapter for multiple reasons. First of all, I love this because, we were in Wano for so long, and Wano was really centralized and focused on the Wano plotline, liberating Wano for the sake of the people who live on Wano. And even Egghead, even though there's been detours where we saw glimpses of the outer world, a lot of it was still based on, the actual events of Vegapunk's island and what people were doing there. But with this and the way that it's been building up, Oda was really like, you know what, no, listen, we gotta bring him back to the roots and make sure people remember that finding the One Piece is still the end goal of this story. And so he set it up masterfully now, because now every faction has a reason to try and go and get this thing. It also lends credence to a prediction that I have coming up, and I think that video may be either next week or the week after, so better subscribe to make sure that you don't miss that, because I think it's going to be a fun one. But this brings up two things for me. Firstly, what's the order of how things are going to shake down now? I mean, I've been of the opinion for a while now that the war on Laugh Tale, which is going to be Luffy and Blackbeard, is going to close out the pirate section of the story. And then there's going to be another part on Mary Joa to, liberate the entire world from the tyrannical rule of the world government. Not only because they've been stacking up the world government side in the past few arcs, but also because Luffy liberating everyone from an unjust regime that's been imposed for over 800 years, that just seems like more of a climax of the entire story, especially now that we know that Luffy is supposed to be Joy Boy, this grand liberator of the entire world. But now that everybody wants the One Piece, is this even still going to be the case? Because now people can actually just converge on Laugh Tale. And of course, the other thing we have to talk about, who the silhouette could be. And there is a lot of possibilities. The man marked by flames, the lurking legend, the pirate with the eye patch that Oda's been talking about in some SBSs. I've even seen rumors that because the pommel looks similar to Griffin, Shanks' sword, this may be Shanks' evil twin, Ganks. I mean, surely it can't be something as crazy as Rocks, right? Like Rocks isn't coming back from the dead, right? Or is it a completely new person entirely? For this one, I'm gonna need y'all to let me know, who do you think the silhouetted person most likely is? Tell me in the comments below. And while you're down there, guys, do another thing for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this every week, and share it around with all your friends who love the series or who just love anime and manga in general. Remember, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. Alright, that's gonna be all for me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. So I'm gonna throw my own hat in the ring and guess at who the silhouette may be. And I don't think people are gonna like this a lot, but I think that it's Scopper Gaban, if only for the fact that I am the sole inheritor of the Scopper Gaban agenda, and I cannot wait for him to reappear in the story. Why is he using a sword now, you may ask? Well, obviously because he realized that axes are impractical.